All right. Hello, everyone. We are back here once again. This is the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. And believe it or not, we are in the home stretch, guys. We are in the home stretch when it comes to BB Can. This is the second to last week of the entire season. I can't believe we're already here. We were just talking about the fact that it feels like we just started, which we kind of did. I mean, the season was very quick. It started literally 2 months ago, and it's already ending, which is crazy.
I know.
It's kind of funny how this is a short season to us because of how long it usually is. But as always, I am joined by my lovely and beautiful co-host, Allie. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and I just can't believe we're almost done this season because it feels like just yesterday we did the cast assessment.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how far we've come since then. But we are, of course, here with not one, but two guests because we're at a point in the game where, there's not a lot to talk about. And these two people, they've wanted to be here for a while. So I'm happy we were able to get both of them on. First of all, you love him, you love him. Sometimes he's called Purple Gatorade. Sometimes he's called other things. But he is, by all accounts, PG.
Hello, everybody.
And someone who you think I talk a lot. Oh, this person will talk circles around me. Here he is, Danny Jackson.
Not this. Well, hi, everyone.
Hey, I got someone on my level. We love to see it.
Won't ever sit up the entire time. It's okay.
All right. So how you guys doing?
Good.
That's good.
I'm tired, but I'm good.
All right.
Hey.
So before we start things off here, because we don't have a ton to talk about in terms of this week, we're going to do the same thing we do with all of our guests. Just brief thoughts on Big Brother Canada this season so far, how it's going, all that kind of stuff. Either of you can start.
I think in my opinion, it's one of the best seasons since Big Brother Canada 5 for sure. I mean, Big Brother Canada 6 was decent, but I think this one's way better than 7 and what we saw of 8.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay has been really good. There's been a little bit of drama. It hasn't been crazy drama, but there's been enough that it's been entertaining.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
The right kind of drama too, strategic drama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it is my favorite season. I've only watched 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1 through 5 of Canada. I haven't seen. Well, I started 6 and I didn't do 7 or 8 yet. 5 was honestly, I agree with PG. It's probably the best one. But I also think that this has brought such a new dynamic with all the diverse casting. It's such different gameplay and different levels of strategy. Because this Final Four would have probably never happened in any other season. Because they probably anyway. Keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is it's crazy how we're at Final 5 and there's already still a lot of interesting strategy going on and interesting conversations.
Yeah.
It's usually the point where things get boring and there isn't a ton to talk about, but there is still a good amount of stuff that goes on this week that I'm excited to get into. So I guess we'll just get into it. So of course, the big thing heading into this episode is that for the first time in years in a Big Brother season, we did not know what was going to happen. We didn't know who was coming back. We didn't know who won HOH. So it was really cool to come into this episode pretty much with fresh eyes, not really knowing what was going to occur. So we see before Tera's eviction, Ty talks to Breydon and says he's unsure. So we really weren't sure at this point because, we said this on our last episode when Prannoy was on, we said something along the lines we didn't really know if Tera was Ty's target. Turns out she very much was because he was very unsure he could beat her in the next HOH. So Ty convinces him to keep it the same. And that's kind of the way that it ended up going. And we see that Tera also tried to pitch to Beth. She wants to backdoor Kiefer because of him wanting jet outs. And Beth says that while she's shocked, she feels Tera needs to go home here, that Tera had to leave. And Ty tells Kiefer and Breydon that he feels they have a better shot against Beth. And even though Kiefer does really want out Beth, he wants to continue doing what Ty wants. And here's the thing. I know obviously this wasn't a real eviction, but do y'all think it was a smart move to target Tera here? Should they have gone for Beth? What do you guys think?
I just don't like Beth. No offense.
I'm with you.
Yes.
I'm not crazy about either of them at all.
Yeah.
I feel I'm kind of mixed on it. I feel like Beth is better for their game as in terms of like they've been allies with her for this long, but at the same time, like in their heads, they were going into the final four. What good is this alliance of four going to do going into the final four? Whereas you can work Tera onto your side. At least that's kind of like what I was thinking there.
Oh yeah,
sure. Definitely. I think there was definitely a chance that either way it could have been beneficial for Ty, but I definitely see why he wanted Tera out, especially because she was so gung-ho about that trio and wanting to get them out. So it does make sense for him to target her here. So we see Tera goes to Jed after her eviction. He's shocked to see her be the next one evicted. They're both confused as to what is actually going on. And we see that Tera really takes advantage of the fact that these two have some time together because she tells him that she really did him dirty. They receive an announcement about what's actually going on and what's actually going to happen with them. And basically, we see for some reason, Tera thought this was going to keep them both safe. She thought they were both going to get in. She didn't think it was going to be a comp of sorts, which again shows Tera's naivety that she's had kind of all season. Not the best read on the game. Not the best read on the game. And this very much does show it. But before the comp happens, Tera explains to Jed that Kiefer was the one who pitched this and that basically everyone used her last week to get out Jed. That's basically why it ended up playing out that way. And I thought this was really interesting, the way that she really kind of took advantage of it. It's unfortunate that not really much comes of it because of what ends up happening, but I do think it was smart for Tera to take this time to just spill to Jed what's going on if he does end up coming back.
I think low-key, too, it does work out for Tera because now that Jed is on the jury, it kind of, she can use it to her advantage when it comes to like a jury vote.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that I think when it comes to Tera, she's in a really interesting spot, which we'll get into. But basically, we see the final four, which they think is a final four at this point. Obviously, it's not. There's that great moment of Beth being like, "We're final four. I can't believe this," and it's like, yeah, about that. They talk about how none of them really had a solidified deal with Tera at all at that point, and Ty is shocked she didn't really try to talk to him, which she really didn't. And we see Ty, Bray, and Kiefer, they talk. They're very discouraged about this twist after all the work they just put in. And, you know, it makes sense, obviously. And that was always going to be the downside of this twist, is that basically any of the work that went on either of the weeks is kind of pointless now. It was like a waste of an HOH at this point. And Breydon says he's going to regret not getting out Beth. And I don't know about that, considering the way the rest of this week plays out. But this was good. I like they were able to catch us up on some more of an idea of what was going on. Again, it was unclear to me why they wanted to target Tera, but this reasoning definitely made a lot more sense than it seemed to before.
And during the face-off comp, Tera and Jed have to throw 3 balls onto a ledge. Jed does have a pretty sizable lead at first and is able to get 2 balls on the ledge. Unfortunately, both of his balls fall off the edge, and Tera, on the other hand, catches up pretty quick, and it becomes very close between both of them. But ultimately, Tera ends up winning the comp, meaning Jed is officially evicted.
Yeah, I don't think any of us were really expecting this. I thought Jed was for sure coming back in. What do you guys think of this? Tera coming back instead of Jed. I don't think this was something that either of us considered.
I like it to a certain extent, but I was thinking there'd be way more drama with Jed coming back in, especially because, the whole season has been Jed, Ty, and Beth, but if Jed came in, that would not be a thing anymore, so it would have been interesting to see the dynamics there.
That's something we did talk about. What were you going to say?
I feel like it'd be way more entertaining if Jed came back, just because, he would have felt way more betrayed, because with Tera, it's just boring.
Yeah, really with Tera, it was only a matter of time before she was going to get out, whereas Jed was such a blindside in that way that seeing him come back and basically him have no loyalty to Ty and Beth and play a completely different game. It would have been interesting to see, but Tera coming back, again, not the ideal outcome, I would say. Not the ideal outcome at all, because it really doesn't change much in terms of the dynamics of the house.
I think the only thing that really would have changed something is if Tera came back and won that HOH right away.
Yeah.
But, obviously, it didn't go that way, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so we see the final four. They are convinced that Jed's coming back. They think for sure that he's going to come back here. Then they're all shocked when it turns out to be Tera. And Ty feels it is better to have her back than Jed. But we also see that he feels really bad because his HOH was ultimately a waste. And this is, I do really feel bad for Ty here because this was his only HOH that he's won. And now it's a matter of, does he even use this if he's in a final two? It's like a resume move, or is it just like nullified now and like he doesn't even count it?
Exactly. And Beth is not happy to see Tera back at all and doesn't want to have to be fake anymore. And it's pretty funny. Like both of them are just very like ingenuine sometimes.
I mean, they haven't been the whole season, but
yeah. I will say, as much as I hate Beth, I did like her like mocking Tera. That was actually pretty good.
They're both with Tera. I just feel like what's the word I'm looking for? She's just very entitled, and then Beth is just really annoying.
Yeah, she just whines and yells. And
it's kind of funny because, like, what does Tera have to be entitled for? Like,
at all?
What have you done?
Right.
Other than argue with Victoria and lose the argument.
It's like, oh, good job.
Yeah. and mistake POCs, which is like really problematic.
Yep. Tera feels everyone is going to be coming for her, and the only way to play this is to play all of them. And she says everyone's excited that she's back, but she's not forgetting that they just did her dirty. She wants to know why they voted her out, but still wants to play nice. And when asked, she lies to the house guest and said Jed didn't know what happened, when in reality she told him everything. Which I feel like she should have just told them.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really know how to feel about that because, like, on one hand, she could tell them, and it's not really going to matter in the grand scheme of things because it's like Jed's on the jury. It's not like he's coming back in the house. But I guess she did it because she didn't want to, like, rock the boat or anything. But it's like it's final five. Like, there's really nothing to hide anymore.
Yeah.
I kind of think it was a good move for her not to tell them that she told Jed, because like once again what I said about it being used in like a jury situation if she's in the final two and Jed is there, because right now everyone else is thinking like, ooh, I can bring this up at the final two and like shock Jed and everything and he's gonna be like, wowed, but like nope, he actually already knows.
Yeah, it really didn't amount to much overall, so I don't think it really would have mattered. But yeah, I do agree that like it's one of those things where Jed is on the jury and he already knows, and they could have definitely used that against her if they wanted to. So
Also another thing that I'm kind of like impressed about with Tera is, had this happened to me and I came back, I would be like, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Like, there would be no chance of me forgiving these people. Especially, did you see the way she walked out of that house? She was not impressed.
No.
Didn't even say bye to anyone. So the fact that she came back in and right away was like hugging everyone and like being like, oh, I get it, whatever. I'm impressed with that. I would not be able to do that.
I do think she did a good job with that, but I do still feel the biggest thing that's hurt Tera all season is her paranoia, and it continues this.
Yeah.
And that's why she probably is coming in being all nice, so they don't have her as a threat of, oh, she's angry, she's going to come for me if I do anything. It's like, oh, she's happy. Cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
They tell her if Jed had come back, they would have absolutely lost the game. Ty and Breydon talk and say this is the best case scenario for them, and she really doesn't have to worry as much. And when she comes in, they gas her up and assure Beth is absolutely going this week because of how messy she's being.
Which is pretty much what they want at this point. I mean, I think it was pretty obvious since last week that like they've wanted Beth out. She's doing too much in the game. She's playing way too hard. She's trying so hard to get those resume moves, and it's just way too obvious. And it definitely made sense for them to want Beth out here.
Yeah. Ty goes to Beth and she tells him she can't be fake this week and is out of energy. And she cries about Jed officially being out.
This week you can't be fake, Beth. This week.
Right?
I'm sorry, that's dumb. It's just dumb.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like
literally dumb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Beth talks to Ty, and she has a lot of conversations with Ty this week. And I won't lie, every single one of them is so fucking infuriating to listen to. And this is one of them. He tells her that though him and Jed have a final 2 from the start, he thought for sure that Jed would have taken her over him, which makes complete sense. That's probably what would have happened in the grand scheme of things. He asked if he knew the plan of what Kiefer was going to do. He said he didn't, but he didn't know if he'd be the swing vote. And he tells her he doesn't know where he fully stands with Kiefer. And my whole thing with Beth this week, it's like he's acting like everything she did last week didn't happen. Like she didn't try to create a scenario in which Ty never went on the block and Jed was saved. Like obviously Ty is not feeling great with her right now. I don't know why she's so like surprised that Ty is not really as close with her at the moment because of what she literally tried to get him out last week. So Ty tells Breydon he doesn't really feel good with lying to people. Breydon says he doesn't see it as lying, and Breydon says he feels Ty is someone he can trust 100% in the game, and Ty says that he just really wants a chill week, which I mean that's basically what he's going to get. He says he feels all the good work he's been doing with him this week paid off, and he tells him though Ty's HOH win was fake, he still will beat everyone in the comp, and Breydon feels the same about his veto. He feels he needs to win the HOH to prove to everyone that he will win a real one and is a competitor. And I really like getting to hear this conversation. You know, the thing that was disappointing about the fake double for me was the fact that it felt like it was the chance for Breydon to finally make a move, and then he didn't. And I was glad to see this week he wasn't just like, oh, I've lost the game, I don't need to do anything. He still wants to try to make that move, even if it seems kind of impossible to do so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that we got this week where they actually like showed stuff that happened during the double eviction that we missed, because everyone was knocking on Breydon for not using the power of veto, and I understand we still kind of are a little bit, but it makes more sense now that it was like, this is what Ty wanted. You don't want to step on Ty's toes, so
yeah, definitely. And especially when they've become as close as they are, where they're basically each other's number one, there wasn't a scenario in which Bray couldn't go against him. Like he had to keep things the same there. Just so again, also because Ty hadn't been HOH, that's a good resume move for him. You know, it just made sense to do it in the way he did. But we see the HOH, they're given this like Vegas style comp. They're all given trivia about previous house guests, and it comes down to a tie between Breydon and Beth. And oh my God, if Beth had won HOH, this would have been a complete disaster. Thankfully, Breydon finally pulls off the win here, and I was so happy for him because even though, yes, he won that veto and he didn't do a lot with it, I was like, okay, now is his chance to really show where his cards are. Now is his chance to not hold back, to make that move. And immediately he does that when he makes Beth and Kiefer have nots for the week. And, you know, he's automatically in the top 4. We see Beth is disappointed that she didn't win. And it's really great to see Breydon finally get the HOH when he's wanted it for so long.
I'm so happy.
I think this was the ideal time for him to win that too, because at this point, it now puts him as a competitor. It now gives him a resume move, and then he can now, if he can continue this up the rest of the end game, he has something to say against if he goes against, for example, Ty, or if he's against like any of the other ones. He now has a full resume of I lost my biggest ally super early, and I kept through. And I had a lot of fun doing it because we all saw the feeds, but we won't talk about that. I just think now it's just perfect time for Breydon. If he's going to win this game, he's going to have to literally at least comp out the rest of the way.
Pretty much. And
I'm scared it's too late. Sorry.
What were you going to say?
No.
I think I'm scared it's too late for him, though.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I mean, all of the comps, like for the past like few weeks, it's been Ty Breydon, Ty Breydon, Ty Breydon. Like it's literally been back to back with them. So like I do think that's a really impressive resume. And they didn't like coordinate that or anything. It just kind of worked out that way. So I think that's what's even more impressive about it is like you can kind of look at that and say, oh, maybe they tried to like do that together, but no, they didn't. It just worked that way. It just worked out that way for them. So I think that is impressive that both of them back to back have been winning comps. So
I know that's really impressive.
I think that is something that if either of them are in the final two, they can definitely bring up, and it probably will give them the win. So what's interesting about Sunday's episode, though, is that it's the first one in a while where we don't end with nominations. We don't know who actually did put up, which I thought was interesting, that we ended with the HOH and not with the nominations. Again, maybe you shouldn't have done the fucking fake eviction, because then we would have had time to see the nominations. But that's a whole other discussion. Let's get into where we see Breydon is very excited, and we are as well, that he won that HOH. And he says last week he wanted Beth out, and she's absolutely his target this week. And what I love about Breyd's HOH is that he doesn't waver at all. He makes it very clear, like, Beth and Tera are my targets. I don't really want any other options here. We see Kiefer is a little bit worried, reasonably, that because the nomination pool is so small that, like, he could potentially be going up here, but he feels he has a good enough relationship with Breydon, and Ty assures him that they're going to get through this week. And Kiefer tells him Ty will have a lot of influence in his HOH this week. Again, Kiefer's like invisible to everyone. It's amazing how he's been able to really pull that off, even being Breydon's Wendy's dates at this point. He takes him to Wendy's dates, and he talks about it. There's no way that Ty is going to touch the block. And I like that Breydon was honest that, like, there is a possibility that Kiefer could be backdoored, but I don't think he ever was actually going to do it. Like, there's definitely possibilities this week that he could, but I just don't think he ever was like, there was never a chance where he was actually going to go through with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard when you get down to the final five, though, because like, what can you do? Like, if one of the people you nominate wins veto, then you have to backdoor someone. Like, there's no other option.
Right, exactly. So we see Tera goes to Bray and tells him that she knows if she's on the block that Kiefer and Ty are voting her out. And Breydon assures her that she's the pawn this week. And again, here comes my problem with Tera. She's so fucking paranoid the entire week.
Yes.
Assuring her, like, you're a pawn. You have nothing to worry about. She's so certain that she's going to go, even though it's, like, so obvious that Beth is, like, a red hot target. I don't know why Tera was so scared that she was going to end up going here when they kept assuring her the whole week that she wasn't.
I mean, she did just go home against Beth in the fake double, so I can kind of see that. Yep. I would be paranoid as fuck.
I would be.
True. Yeah.
Especially, like, it was the exact same situation last week and you went home.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
it's just frustrated me all season. So it doesn't change here.
Ty talks about his bond with Bray. He's been wanting him to connect emotionally with him, and maybe even as more than just a friend. Mm-hmm. It seems to have worked because they have no intentions of wavering.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of controversy with this whole thing because people have talked about, Ty's kind of using Bray in that way, and that, Bray clearly has a crush on him and Ty's, like, building off of it, but it's clearly working for him. And I think it's one of those things where, like, it's, Bray hasn't necessarily made it seem like he's, like, in love with Ty or something like that. He's just working close with him. I think Bray also knows, like, some of this is probably strategy. I think he's probably okay with that. He's a player that isn't as emotional as others have been. So I think while there is controversy there, it's not really bothering Breydon. So I think it's one of those things where it's working out for both of them, and it's gotten both of them so far. I think it's a positive in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be here. I would be here for them after the season.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
I ship it.
Yeah.
We love to see that.
Yeah.
It kind of brings me back to, like, Kevin vibes. Not you, but, like, Big
Kevin
Martin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because he kind of
I've been using that in my game this whole time.
Mm-hmm. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, it's not.
Kidding.
What was that guy's name? The French guy?
The French, yeah. I was
William.
Because I said Demetrius and William. And I was like, Demetrius is with Ica, so that's not the right person.
Yeah.
And Beth tells Bray that she's scared of Kiefer and Tera's existing connection, in which Kiefer would win the veto and force Ty to go up on his HOH. And she says she wouldn't do that, and that if Kiefer takes her off, it helps his case against Bray's. Whereas if he took Tera, that scenario can't happen. And Bray feels this may actually be a strong case, and Beth says she's gone. If she's gone, he will officially be alone in this game.
Oh, the naivety again. You don't even know the half of it, Beth.
Yeah. And at the nomination ceremony, Bray ultimately goes for Beth and Tera, and he's fearful of both of their loyalties.
What a blindside. What a huge surprise. I could have never seen Breydon nominate either of these two women. I did not think this was going to happen. No, this was, like I said, I love that he stuck to his guns. He didn't waver. He put up two people that needed to be on the block for his game, and I think that was definitely very smart for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Beth is annoyed that she's sitting on the block since it was a group decision, and Tera also feels annoyed by the fact that she's getting blamed for this and not Ty.
Again, it's credit to Ty's game. Like, Ty has absolutely been killing the game right now. He's at a point where nobody really feels bad with him. And the thing is, like, even though, yes, he was instrumental in it, like, Ty's game is so good that people just aren't really like holding him against that. And I think I've continued to say it week after week, but I really do think, as much as people want Kiefer to win, I think Ty is in the best position to win right now because of the fact that he's not as seen as big of a threat at this point. Kiefer is seen as like, oh, everyone loves Kiefer. Everyone wants him to win. And I think that's why Ty is ultimately going to get the win here, because people aren't seeing all the stuff that he's done.
I also think the people that are going on the jury are pro Ty. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, like, obviously Beth is probably not the happiest right now, but just in general, like the overall season.
But if you think about it, if you look at the jury people, all of them can convince Beth to go for Ty at the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
everyone there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of like it doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
I definitely feel like Ty would win unanimously.
Yeah, I think so too.
I agree.
Especially all the work he's put in the second half of the game. You have to love it. You have to stand. No choice.
Yes. Ty tells Bray his reasonings for the noms and that they made sense, and that Beth regrets not voting Bray out.
Well, should have done that.
Tera explains to Bray why the backdoor plan happened last week, and at this point, she doesn't think Jed was running the game. It was Kiefer and Ty.
Really, Tera. Now you're realizing this. Like, it was so fucking obvious. This is why I always thought it was weird that she's like, Jed is running this game. Jed's going to do so well. It's like, do you not realize that Kiefer and Ty are working as closely as they are? It's just, oh my God, the reads on Tera just they're on another season. Like, she is on another season. I don't know what it is, but like it has not been there, and it continues to be there.
I'm not even like the biggest Kiefer fan, but I mean, I do like give him credit for his gameplay.
Oh yeah,
I completely agree.
Yeah, like, he is doing really well.
I think for me, I know this is not this episode's or whatever, but Kiefer, like, getting himself off the block that time, or not getting him off the block, but like getting the vote off him that time, and then the whole thing with the plan to get the veto used on Beth instead of Jed. Like,
oh yeah,
for me, those are like crazy moves.
And he survived a backdoor.
Yeah,
that's why he is in such a strong position to win, because of those two moves alone. Like, he just does that, he wins.
And I feel like somehow he's still coming off as under the radar. I don't know if maybe that's just me, but I feel like
he definitely is.
Yeah, which is crazy because he's done these crazy things.
Yeah.
Beth expresses her dismay about why Bray put her on the block, and Ty feels like she did this to herself, and she should be more respectful of his noms, which is very true.
I love how just over Beth Ty is this entire week. Like, when he's like, fuck you, Beth, enjoy jury, Beth, just the best. I love it.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because she was one of my like top 3 at the beginning. Her, Austin.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, her, Austin, and Victoria were like my favorites at the like preseason.
Allie's exact words: Beth is just like me. Are you sure about that?
Basically, I think it was just because of like, I thought she was just like this perky, nice girl, but then I'm just like, no, maybe not.
Nice.
Okay,
I would not describe her as nice. Definitely not.
At all.
Would you like to retract your statement, Ellie?
Yes.
Yeah, that cast assessment video is not aged well.
Right?
Yeah, I think I said Kiefer gave me like first boot vibes as well.
I mean, did he not?
I mean, he really did, though. He really did.
But yeah, I think my main favorites though was like Victoria and Julie. Oh yeah, and Austin
and Breydon.
Yeah,
those are mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Beth tells Bray she wishes he told her what was bothering him, and he explains that everyone said they were pitching hard for Jed to stay, and she says that it's bullshit and it sucks that he can't play next week, and he's pissing his number 2 ally, which he says she's very much not.
Yeah.
Beth is also annoyed. She's pinning all of this on her because in the end she cut him.
I just don't understand. It's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas with Beth, and it's like, again, you can say, oh, I should not have cut Beth. Oh, I should have voted out Breydon, but it's like, you didn't, so now you have to pay the consequence for it. And I don't know why Beth can't just take accountability for things that she did and like say, okay, I deserve this happening. There's not a single point in this entire week where she does that, where she's like, okay, this happened to me, so now it's fair that I'm going. Like, she tries to use other reasons for it, and it's just really dumb. And again, it's another reason of why I don't like Beth. I don't like Beth at all.
I said it from the jump. I said she was stupid. And I said this to you guys earlier before we got on this thing. I was like, if she was going to win, if she was really trying to win, she should have flipped freaking Ty on Jed so that they could have taken Ty out first,
right?
And then she could have snaked Jed, and she could all the way to the end with, like, she took out the biggest player who everyone thought was the biggest player, and then she would take all the people who like her. She would have been fine.
Right. It's interesting.
She takes out her biggest ally. Like, why would you do that?
It's interesting to me too, because like her HOH week, I was like, okay, she's finally starting to do something. Let's see her like work with it. And then she fucking votes out Ro. And I think that was like, I think that was basically like the down spiral of her game. I think there were people she needed to keep around, and she just didn't realize like how advantageous people that weren't in the Sunsetters really were to her at that point. And I think she should have used them to her advantage, but that was more what Ty ended up doing, and it's worked for him because of it. So just very disappointing overall. I think, like I said, I think Beth was at a point where she was starting to prove me wrong, and now we're just back to where I was with her. So we see, again, she has another conversation with Ty, another very infuriating one, where she tells him that he was just as back and forth as she was, which no, he fucking wasn't. It had nothing to do with Breydon, and Beth claims that she wanted Jed to go, which Kiefer and Ty said she also wanted him to stay, which is true. And she says she doesn't understand this when she's been working with Breydon all season. No, you fucking haven't. You didn't work with
at all.
Literally your HOH, and basically tells Ty he's secured for 4. Again, she's just trying so hard to be like, oh, I'm your number one. I'm your number one. It's like, how many number ones do you have in this game, Beth? Like, it's final 5. If you were going to have a number 1, it should have been Breydon. I do think it should have been, because he was the one who pitched to her the whole Vic vote. And I think that alone should have given her a chance to work on that relationship. But instead, the week after she's HOH, she's like, oh, Breydon's really fucking annoying. And it's like, how is he annoying? Like, nothing about her game has made sense. And
no, she's been very confusing all season.
Even she's
a lot of back and forth.
Yeah,
I think she's just been holding out hope that her and Jedson were gonna like be able to rock this whole thing to the end, and it's like as soon as Jedson's gone, it's like, what do? You ruined all your other relationships, girl.
And even if she's against Jed, I think Jed probably wins because he just played a more loyal game, more honest with what he did. He didn't over-lie like Beth did.
And especially if you look at who's going to be the jury, he's going to win over her regardless. So even if it's not a bitter jury move, it's going to be like they're still going to choose Jed.
Yeah.
So we see the veto comp happens. It's basically a real life pinball game. And it was also basically the same thing as like the buyback, which I thought was really interesting. Basically we see, even though Tera just won that, Breydon ends up also winning the veto, which is just amazing. I don't know how Ty and Breydon have been doing it, but they've been winning like every single comp. And it's really just amazing to watch. We see Tera is feeling very paranoid, considering that she was voted out last week. She's really not sure if Beth is really the target, which, Tera, you really just need to see the stuff that Beth is doing. Like, you're fine. You're not going anywhere. Like, there was no way if Beth is on that block that she isn't going to go. But We see it. Breydon tells Kiefer that he feels bad because he really wanted Ty to have his moment. He wanted Ty to get the veto here, and Kiefer says that he should be proud that he's won 3 in a row, which is a really impressive stat. A lot of people have not pulled that off in a while. And Kiefer said that he's a bit worried that Beth may try to convince Breydon to backdoor him, and that's exactly what she does. She goes to Breydon. She asks him what he plans to do with the veto, and she says that she feels it's crazy that Tera hit the block, but Kiefer didn't, and that he should be the one to go this week. He says that he wanted to get rid of him a long time ago, which is really just how he feels about Beth. And Beth says he's very much hungry for the win, and he's the best player remaining in the game. Breydon says he has been considering it, but he's not sure if it is the right move. And Beth says that this could be his resume move if he goes with it. And really, no, Beth, you want this to be your resume move. You've been doing things like this for like the past 2 weeks. Every conversation you have to have a hand in, and that's exactly why she's going. She's just, again, been doing far too much, especially at the end of the game. It's just like, you just need to chill at this point. Like, there's stuff, it's different with what Ty is doing, where he's really worked on his relationship with Breydon and Kiefer and made them feel great. Beth just needs to dominate every single conversation. Beth just has to be at the height of everything, and it's just like, you really don't at this point.
Yeah.
So we see Breydon immediately goes to Ty about this pitch that Beth gave him. And Ty says, well, it is a smart thing for Beth to say he isn't sure if Kiefer is really as big of a threat because of what's happened recently. And he says he still liked the chances of the two of them versus Kiefer and Tera in the Final Four, which really is probably the best move for both of them. You have two duos in there. Kiefer and Tera were working pretty closely in the game, really not now, but like they were definitely working closely at a point. So the veto ceremony happens, and once again he does not use the veto, and this time I think it made perfect sense for him not to use it. There was no reason to put Kiefer on the block. I don't think there was any doubt in his mind that he wasn't going to use it. I think it was definitely the right move for him here.
Completely.
Yeah, agreed.
So we see that after the veto ceremony, Tera feels that though Beth is the target, she still feels that they could still send her packing. She still has that doubt in her mind, which again, just have you seen what Beth has been doing? There's no way. There's no way, Tera. It's not happening.
Beth is very
on as everything goes to plan. Beth should be out next. Beth still doesn't understand why Kiefer isn't getting backdoored this week. Still somehow not putting 2 and 2 together that, maybe he's working with the other 2 people in the house. You're just a little, just, maybe just a little bit of a stretch, I know, but it's possible that he very well could have deals with other people in the house that aren't you. And we see this great moment where like everyone's celebrating the storage room except for Beth. She has this feeling that Ty had some real sway in the noms this week and is frustrated that he did not have her back at all. And again, I don't know why she's realizing this now. It was so fucking obvious.
Honestly, like Beth is like messy, but not in like a good way, like Victoria.
No, it's in an annoying way.
Yeah.
It's the stop talking kind of way.
She does way too much.
Even the announcer was
did the
tired.
most.
Like, on the Thursday episode, he's like, will Beth ever stop screaming? And I'm like, you and me both. I've been wondering that all season.
Beth tells Ty she's a little annoyed and confused and about what is happening, and she doesn't understand why she's up and he's not. Ty says he wants her to get to the end and thinks he can beat her. He then expresses his frustration with how last week went and how she was completely okay with Ty going up last week, and he was under the impression she'd vote him out, and he said her stories don't usually match up, which is true.
Yeah.
And he says he wanted to be in a position to make a decision, and he was. He says if this is her campaigning, she's doing a horrible job, and she said she didn't know how tight him and Bray were. And he said he didn't encourage him to put up Beth, which she denies. And he says at some point the game has to change. And she says he's going in circles and his words aren't matching up, which he says she's been doing all game. And he tells her to enjoy jury.
We get that iconic line.
Yep. She then laughed to herself about the fact she's getting voted out.
I don't know how this was the moment she recognized it. Like, she should have known a while ago that she was going to get voted out. And I will say, I've seen people on Twitter say, like, oh, Ty should not have said to her that this is, like, bad campaigning. But it's like, it's really just one vote. If Beth, I don't think, has as much sway in the jury as people think that she does, because the jury doesn't like her. Like, the jury doesn't really want much to do with her. Rose made it no secret that he hates her.
Oh, yeah, Rose thinks she's really
is very fond of her. I don't think the majority of the jury is. So, like, even if Beth is, like, the loudest voice in the room, that doesn't mean they're going to just go with what she says. So even if she's like, fuck Ty, I don't think the rest of the jury is going to concur with that.
Yeah, it's so hard with jury management at that point, because like as much as you want to do jury management, if this girl is being that annoying, it's like, how do you control yourself?
Right, and she's the one who's like just consistently saying all this bullshit, and you can only just take that for so long.
Right.
It's like, Beth, do you even know what you're saying at this point? Like, I don't even think she does. I think she's just basically just saying whatever. Like, she's like, oh, you're my number one. No, Kiefer's my number one. No, Breydon's my number one. And it's like...
Yeah, I'd be the same way. I'd be like, at this point, I don't care about your vote. Just go take your seat.
Exactly.
Take your place.
Beth says she doesn't feel good with Ty right now and says that he's played the better game, and she says she was angry because he was her person, and he says it was supposed to be the four of them and they all lost their way and got scared of each other. And he says if they're cutting their own people, he will be next. He says if she's still in the end, everyone brings her, and she assures him to take him to the end. He says she does deserve to win this game.
See, I wouldn't want to take Beth to the end, even if I could beat her, because she's just gonna like be annoying and like just talk constantly and not let me talk. Like, I'm gonna be talking about what she did. And she's like, no, I did that, and I'm like, no, you fucking didn't. Like, I wouldn't even want to bring that. Like, even if Beth has no chance of winning, which she really doesn't, I don't think anyone should want to get her to the end because she just doesn't shut the fuck up.
I know. She talks a lot.
Yeah.
But not in a good way like you.
No, yeah. Yeah. And Danny as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All my friends talk in good ways.
Oh, yeah.
Nice save, Allie.
If we had episode titles, that would be our episode title.
That would be the episode title. That's it.
We actually could.
We could. It's not going to fit in the description, but like, might as well.
Beth goes over to Kiefer, hoping to convince him to vote for her so Bray can break the tie in her favor. And he tells her straight up that Tera is better for his game, because he truly doesn't know what she would do. She said she would be the only person to take him to the end, and that Tera's move wasn't that big. And his, in fact, was. And he says he also pitched for him to get backdoored. And she says she had to in order to fight for herself. And she says with her there is actually a chance to win and bring him to the end.
Essentially the same exact conversation she just had with Ty. Literally.
She says she knows her days and numbers very well, and she tells him if not, he's not making it past Final Four. They love him, but the jury can't stand her. Kiefer feels in the end she still can cause tons of damage in the game and also in the jury house.
I did love that she said the jury can't stand her, because it's like, finally, the one thing you're actually right about. Like, that is very much true. The jury can't stand her. But Kiefer brings up this moment where he's like, why would you bring up like how well you're going to do in comps and things like that? And it's like, that's true. Because like, if she keeps telling people like, I'm so good at this, it's like, why would anyone want to take you to the end if you're so good at all these comps? Because even if, they don't want to take Beth to the end, let's say she gets to Final 3, she could end up winning that final HOH and then takes one of them. So
exactly.
Again, just horrible pitching from her all around. I don't think there was a single thing she did that was successful in terms of her pitching. So we do get a moment with the jury house here, which this time I actually liked it because there's not a lot going on in this episode. So let's have a jury segment. We see not a ton going on here, though. They're very surprised to see Jed be the next house guest to join them. Jed says that he's disappointed with how he went out and how burned he was by his alliance. He seems a bit bitter by Ty which makes sense. He seems a bit burned by him. So that could potentially affect his vote. But I feel like Jed is very much a stand-up guy in that way. He's someone that he doesn't hold too many grudges. And I think though he's hurt now, I don't think ultimately he's going to be the one bitter as opposed to someone like Beth, who I can absolutely see being bitter.
Yeah, I'm surprised how composed Jed kept himself throughout that entire week.
I know.
Just, he didn't freak out at all. He was obviously he was upset, but he was chill, kind of chill,
Yeah,
they would have had a reason to vote me out because I would have snapped on all of them. I'm motherfucking play.
You would have pulled a back.
I would have been throwing vids over freaking balconies. They would have hated me.
Yeah.
So I feel like with him and the jury too, and having that much time to get over it, I feel like by the time it gets to the final two, he's just gonna be like, game respects game.
Yeah, which I think is interesting because very early on in the season, I don't know if y'all remember, but it was the Josh week where Josh was throwing Jed under the bus. He called this whole house meeting, and I said his emotions is what's going to get him in trouble, and he's been very low key since then. So I would assume what's good is I'm pretty sure he recognized I can't do that anymore. I can't just freak out whenever my name is out there. So I think that was honestly smart on Jed's part, and he's played very differently than I expected him to, which I liked. I feel like Ty is playing more like how I expected Jed to, in the sense where he is very much the villain. He's someone who is willing to make these big moves, and not that Jed wasn't, but Jed just played a more, I would say, tactful game in that way. And then Beth is just what I thought Jed was going to be in the first few weeks of this game. So it's interesting the way things have changed there. But we see this moment where Kiefer is barred from being a have-not based on Canada's vote. I don't know why we're still doing this at Final Five.
I know.
Literally.
Yeah, what's even the point? But we see Tera ask Beth how she is feeling. Beth says she's overall at peace with it, basically because she has to be at this point. But Tera feels that a flip could still happen. She's still very unsure that Beth is actually going to go. She doesn't really know where she stands. And Beth talks to her about how she studied the comp, says the same exact thing that she said to Kiefer. So it's not even really worth diving into. But she does feel that Tera's a bit sketched out by Kiefer's comment because she's been so alone in the game. So Beth takes this as a glimmer of hope that she's going to stay. I don't really know why. I think it was pretty obvious that she wasn't at that point. But she tells Bray and Ty that she'd take them both to Final Three. Again, wishes about being, she whines again about being blamed for Jed's eviction. She says she's tired of Ty telling her she's lying when he's obviously playing Breydon, which he really isn't at this point. Yes, he's playing up the fact that he likes him and things like that, but he's definitely not playing him. He's been his number one.
Yeah, for sure.
He says there's no evidence of him saying it, and Ty says that all she's done the whole game is throw people under the bus, which is true. That's all she's done. Everyone that could have been an ally to Beth, she's just immediately discarded, and now it's coming to bite her in the ass, and that's why things end up going the way they do. So we get the most unpredictable vote of the season. Am I right? We see Beth ends up going on a unanimous vote, which I think pretty much at that point everyone expected. We get her interview here where she discusses how much she was taken aback by being in the fake Final Four. She says that she should not have kept Kiefer in the house, which you should have recognized it then, how much she was playing. But again, that's something that's a whole other conversation. She says it caused her demise within the house. She doesn't regret voting Jed out because she felt it would have still been a strong resume move, which I don't understand the logic there at all, but she feels that Kiefer pretty much has this win the bag. Again, this interview just really summed up my entire problem with Beth's game. She never did anything that was advantageous for her. She was so concerned about having that resume move, but she didn't think about, is this actually something that would be good for my game? She cared more about getting to the end than she did about actually winning. And I think that's what ultimately hurt her game. So we see the next HOH comp takes place. It's a comp called Buzzer Beater. The house guests have to recall which comp the house guests on the monitor won. After 7 questions, the house guest that gets the most right will win. And it's going to be revealed in the next episode because they hate us. They absolutely hate us and they want us to win.
So many cliffhangers.
They want cliffhangers. They're like, let's like a man. Give him a little sample.
Yeah, why not? Why not? We don't need to see the HOH. That's not important at all. But
They're just being like the circle.
Pretty much. Oh, that's a whole other different beast. We'll be covering that in a few hours, so look forward to that. But yeah, that's everything that went down this week. I mean, like I said, not as much to talk about because we are at Final 5, but I think it's pretty obvious what was going to happen with Beth going. And yeah, we are now on the final week of the game. I will be honest, because this is my first season Big Brother Canada, I did not know that they do the final 4 and the finale back to back, but I do kind of like that format a lot because why have an entire week of just nothing? There's no reason to really do that. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I think pretty much everyone can win the game except for Tera. I think basically everyone has a case to win except for her. I've seen people say that Breydon's chances aren't as high, but I think they still are. I think if Breydon is at the end, he definitely does have a reasonable case to win. I think if it's a Bray and tie final 2, by no means is it unanimous. I think definitely there are cases for both of them.
To be honest, I think if Bray really wants to win, he should get Ty out. That's his best. Like that's his best.
That would be
100%. You took out the best person. You get the game. Like that's his end move.
I think at this very current moment, the only way I see personally that Breydon will win is if Breydon is up against Tera. But from now until that final, he still has chances to work that resume.
No, he definitely does. Like if he keeps Tera around and recognizes that like she can't win, that could definitely help him. But I just don't know at this point. I feel like him and Ty are so like on the same level pretty much, like they're both on the same trajectory, that I don't know if he's actually willing to make that move. It'd be cool if he did, because
I don't want him to, but
yeah, I think it would definitely hand him the win, but I don't know if he'd actually do it.
I think he would rather it be him two, like them two sitting there regardless if he wins or not, like at this point.
Also, just 2 black men in the final 2.
Exactly. I think that's where he's like, maybe that's not the move.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see what happens. Like if someone is just going to take Tera to the end because it's a guaranteed win, or if we're going to get 2 game players in the end. It'll be interesting.
Hate that so much.
Yeah. Because then there's a possibility of her winning, which I do not want.
Exactly.
Oh my god, if Tera wins.
If Tera wins this season, I'm canceling Big Brother Canada.
I've seen people say like this could be the last season. If Tera wins, then just put a Big Brother team is canceled. That's it.
They better do a fucking All-Star season. We need Victoria.
Actually, do an All-Stars.
Yes.
Yeah,
bring Victoria back.
Honestly, they need like a second chance one too for all the people who are robbed.
Especially this season. Especially
a lot of the ones from 8.
I'm surprised they didn't bring anyone back from Big Brother Canada 8 for this season. I'm like shocked by that.
Yeah, I thought for sure
you would know their gameplay though.
I know they usually do that like evacuation twist or something like that. Where like they bring people in from like other seasons, and I thought they were gonna do that with someone from 8, like maybe a Sheldon, but they did not do that.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically everything to talk about in terms of Big Brother Canada this week. Before we do close things out here, I'm going to give both of you a chance to give your outro, plug your socials, all that kind of stuff. We're going to go from the order on my screen. So we're going to start with Danny.
Oh, shit. Okay. Hi, I'm Danny. Most of you know, I'm sure you know me if you've watched me. Danny K. Jackson Jr. on everything. I'm hoping Bray wins. That's all. Bye.
All right. PG.
I'm PG. It says Purple Gatorade on my Twitter. It's PG forever. Feel free to follow me. And this was fun.
Yes, this was definitely a lot of fun for sure. Happy to have both of you. So you're probably wondering, how's the rest of this week going to work in terms of this game? We are going to be doing separate episodes for both Wednesday and the finale. Not sure who's going to be with us on Wednesday. It might just be Ali and myself. I don't know. But for the finale, we're probably going to end up doing this very soon. But we are going to we are allowing everyone that's been on this podcast so far to come back for the finale if they want to.
Or anyone can join.
A lot to discuss and things like that. So if you're out there, you watch the podcast, you've never been on, by all means DM us. We'd love to have you on because we're kind of scrambling in terms of guests right now. But we are very excited when that does come. We are actually going to be back in a couple hours as well to talk about everything that went down the circle with Chrissy and Andrew. They're going to be on with us for that. So definitely look forward to that. But other than that, that's really it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, comment down below. Let us know what you guys thought of this week of Big Brother Canada. Can't believe we're already at the end. It's pretty crazy how fast this is going. I like it. I like a season that is a lot more fast pace because usually it's a slog at this point. It's an absolute slog to get through. So it's good to see that we already are close to the end. But other than that, guys, over this video, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Bye.